Welcome to Three Generations, the podcast where three friends from three different eras come together to chat about anything and everything. I'm Julia, your Gen Xer, here with Jess, our millennial, and Marie, our wise boomer.
Hey, we might not always agree, but that's what makes it fun. We're bringing our unique perspectives on topics that matter, the ones that don't, and everything in between.
So whether you're on your daily drive, tackling some chores, or just knocking back with a cup of coffee, we're here to keep you company with conversation that feels like you're right here with us.
No topic is off limits, and no opinion is too out there. This is your go-to place for real talk, a few laughs, and maybe even a little bit of wisdom along the way.
We're on YouTube, Spotify, so you can catch us wherever and whenever. Let's dive into it, ladies.
Okay, so we had a couple of weeks of talking about friendship, and where we ended was how social media has affected people with friendships and mental illness and depression, where they've come so prevalent in today's time.
Yeah.
So I think that's an important topic to talk about and to bring forward.
Absolutely. Especially, Jules, how do you feel about that with having a young daughter?
Yeah, so I have a Gen Zer, that I'm raising. But, the thing is about this particular topic is actually, I think for more, even though we may have different perspectives, we're all actually on this same boat because social media is fairly new for everybody. The only difference is, like, for example, my daughter, she's grown up. This is already established here. Whereas for all of us, it came at different times in our life. Like, I mentioned a few episodes ago, when I was 15 when I first got the AOL, the internet, and that was kind of introduced, and it wasn't as prevalent as it is today. But social media is like fairly new, and we're still seeing kind of the effects of that, and how to even the wisdom on how to navigate those waters, how to create the different boundaries of whatnot. I was just talking to my daughter because we're just in that area where, just like the last episode, but for her ears, we're trying to define what real friendships are. That she believes that everybody, any kid, especially her classmates, that they're all her friends. And it's like, well, not really. And just trying to reorient her. Now, I'm the position that I don't allow my daughter on social media, but other parents do. I've seen some really harmful effects of kids getting into just having all access to the internet, especially social media, way too early.
Yeah.
We have in our family an experience with. So my niece is much older now, but at the time in the early odds. Just being around actually my daughter's age today, who's a tween, getting into just having unmitigated access to the internet and social media, and just how, when your ideas and brain is still forming, you're even more vulnerable. I think adults have a hard time with social media because people are really brave on the internet and can bully you or say some really harmful things that they would never have the courage to say to your face.
That's right.
And I think that's hard for adults, but then you throw a kid into it without even the life experience, and I think it's even more harmful. So with my niece, she was exposed to social media or given access to social media very early without any supervision whatsoever. She was going through what we all go through, that change between in your body and hormones from being a kid to being a young person, and confused about that, and had different issues at hand as well with mental health. And she got access to bad people.
Yeah.
Bad people who on the internet would say things, and all of a sudden it's what she wanted to hear, or it made sense, or were able to persuade her to where she forgot who she was until she was very far gone, and made a lot of really life-altering decisions along the way there. That I wonder if she would have, if that would have been her trajectory today, if not for that access on social media. It's a huge deal. I think we need to talk about it. And I think it's another place where we need to have some very strong boundaries and, boundaries about it.
Yes. Yes, and not just boundaries for our children, boundaries as adults.
Yes.
I mean, some adults spend hours.
Yes.
Hours. Like, and then you wonder why, they feel alone.
Yes.
They feel, like they have the depression sets in, mental illnesses of all kinds because it's bombarded, like you say, Julia. And a lot of that is negative.
Yes.
It's telling them, the world is wrong, but everything that they say is correct, and no matter what direction they're going in. And it's cruel. It's cruel. I mean, some of these people who go on who are depressed, and then people text back or however you call it, and tell them to kill themselves. And I mean, it's crazy.
It is.
Crazy. There's absolutely no boundaries whatsoever.
And I think that you just hit the nail on the head. There are no boundaries that are creating these issues. I don't think people realize that they're not having enough boundaries with their vulnerability, with making sure they're covering themselves, or even having boundaries with what's coming in. Because it's like you said, they're literally eating everything that's being put in front of them, and they're spending hours on it. And if it's constant negativity, if it's constant look at the glass half empty, and if even if it is stuff that's like makes you laugh or makes you feel good for a minute, it's just a temporary high. That once that temporary high is gone, you feel that emptiness, and you're like, oh, I gotta find something else to get that high back again. And I don't think people realize that that's really what's happening when they're on social media as much as they are, is they're just getting those temporary highs constantly, and they're just really searching for more, no matter what it is. I don't care what the subject is.
Well, it's exactly to what Jules is speaking to. You get on there and you have all these people, and I'm in Greece and I'm here.
Yeah.
And this is beautiful, and I'm at the beach, and it's a wonderful life with my boyfriend. And then you look at your life and go, what's wrong with me?
That's right.
Yeah.
The comparison.
Yeah. And then that's
a big
when
one.
the depression comes in and the loneliness
Yeah.
comes in. But the time that they're spending, they could meet even if it's not a friend, you can meet a person, have a cup of coffee, take a walk in the park. You might meet somebody, but
Do a side hustle to save up for that vacation in Greece.
That's right.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. And so there's no encouragement
No.
on social media, as far
No.
as I can see.
I think it's a machine that's developed to keep you glued to it.
Yeah, it's by design.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And it gives you that dopamine hit.
Yes.
It is meant to keep you engaged there.
Yeah. That's what gets you addicted to drugs. That's what gets you addicted to alcohol, is that
Any
dopamine hit. It gives you that dopamine hit, and as soon as it's gone, you're like, how do I get that again? And that just creates a downward spiral that's unreal, right? I got to the point where I had to get rid of it because I realized that stuff was happening. Like Jules, you were like, I can't believe people that post their food. I would post my food.
You were one of those. Huh?
I was
Boy.
because, and I mean, I enjoy food. I mean,
Yeah, you are a foodaholic.
I like food.
This girl can eat. That's all I'm saying.
and I do, and I enjoy it. Like I get really excited about it because I'm just like, this tasted great. I love trying international stuff, yada yada yada. So, and when I would try new stuff, because it was something that I valued, to me, it was important to me. I'd be like, oh, look at this food, click. You know what I mean? But I would be looking for how many likes did I get on that?
Right. Or people that go and post something really private that they think it's meant to be friends. I just broke up with my boyfriend. It's like, why are you posting that? Why does everybody have to know that? And by the way, that post is forever because it's internet.
Exactly.
That's too personal.
Yeah, I don't think, especially the young people, they have no idea. That's there forever.
Yeah. Well, that goes back to a boundary, right? Are you?
But it goes back to what Jules is speaking about too. As a parent, you have an obligation. It's no different than anything else that you would not let your child do.
But it starts with you, right? It's like
Yes.
they say, you put on your oxygen mask first, and then you do your kid. I think that there are a lot of people, adults also, that don't have boundaries on themselves. They're on their
Yes.
social media, and then how can they even, help other people? But it is a parenting choice as well.
It really is.
But in today's time, there are more people with mental illness
Yeah.
in this day and age
Than
and
there ever has
depression than
been.
there ever has been.
Yeah.
Yes, 50, 60 years ago, we didn't discuss it.
Yeah.
Okay, if you had it in the family, everybody tried to help that person, yada, 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 that type of thing. But today, it's like you can't even get an appointment.
Yeah.
That's how prevalent it is. You're talking, if these therapists, now they have hotlines.
Yes.
Because they can't even get in to see somebody to
Yeah.
talk to them.
It's a multi-million-dollar business now. There's websites and stuff you can get onto to talk to somebody virtually. You can everything besides just the hotlines that you can call. There's apps that you can get now where you can text somebody to talk to them about how you're feeling. You can do virtual, like you can do Zoom meetings. There's so many different things for people.
So here's my question. Is that any better that they have these hotlines and everything done online? Is that any better?
I think it's not really getting to the root of the issue as much as it's just hitting the surface level of things.
Right. And this generation, I was looking into it. It's the ones coming up. So my daughter's Gen Z is the most anxious generation that we've had in a long time. And you're like, well, why is that? What is going on? And
Yes.
because they're constantly bombarded with like the worst news,
Yeah.
and everything is right at their fingertips, and it's one thing after another. And
Right.
if you read enough of that, you can lose your peace. But on the same token, we do have a huge opportunity because there are lots of tools out there to help you cope, or even digital detox, or create boundaries. You can have there's settings on your phone that you can limit. Okay, like it's only going to allow me to be on social media for X amount of time,
Right.
Or just even having that choice, like I want to look at this, but I can't lose my peace. I just think it takes more discipline
It does.
and self-control to be able to do that than some people are willing to do. And that's a choice.
Yeah, but I think it's realizing what the root cause of the actual issue is. So if we're and it's like you said, all these are really important tools that we can use as a benefit to us, right? There's so many things that we can use as a benefit. Like a couple episodes ago, Marie, you were like, I don't really know about YouTube and Spotify, but I'm learning, right? So you're seeing the use of it. You're seeing how useful it is. And everything has a good use, but there's also the dark side to everything. So Jules, you hit it perfectly. It's what boundaries are we establishing? Because obviously having this negativity, constantly being bombarded, constantly doing this, constantly doing that, that is really what is being imprinted into all these people that are impressionable, whether they're kids, whether they're adults. We are going to a therapist and it's like, I feel this way, I feel that way, I feel this way. It's like you're dealing with the outcomes, but we're not dealing with the fact of, hey, how much time did you spend watching the news yesterday?
That's right.
Well, I think it does come down to that. But how does that person get the help they need when they're in that depression or mental illness? Mental illness, that's a word that can cover a lot of situations.
Right.
There's certain mental illnesses. They need medication. They need doctors, yada, yada,
Right.
yada. But when we're talking social media, which is causing depression and loneliness and solitude, all these things, how do we help these people. How do you help someone establish those boundaries if they have no connection to begin with?
Right.
Right. You have to have a good friend who's going to tell you the truth. You have to, I as a parent have a responsibility to create boundaries for my child. I don't care if all your friends are on social media. You're not going to be on social media. And then maybe even at that point that like right now, she has to, I can't just put her in a bubble. And by the way, the schools having them access the internet for here and there. But guess what? We have to just take the time to to use tools that are out there. I monitor her activity. I know where she's going. It takes self-control. It takes investment. It takes time. It takes work to use those tools. I don't just like let her have it. So it's a matter of choice.
Well, I guess here's the question. Should we put a warning on it? We put a warning on cigarettes. We put a warning on alcohol. Should we put a warning on it?
I actually think we shouldn't, to be honest, because I think that there are people that are trying to use different things to censor the internet, to censor social media, to censor. And so I think that's a slippery slope. Mm-hmm. I think we need to have education and awareness on tools that are out there to help you create boundaries. Mm-hmm. I think people need to make the choice. I think there needs to be education out there. But I'm very weary about that, because at the end of the day, social media and internet is a tool, just like money is a tool.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it needs to be used with wisdom. You need to be able to have access. I would defend somebody's right to post what they want to post, even if I didn't agree with what they were saying, because I value, the freedom of it. Once we get into like, oh, this website or this idea or these is dangerous and putting a label on it, I don't like where the trajectory where that can go.
Let me ask you this, because I want to say I just read an article that Instagram just made it so if you're 17 or younger, your profile is automatically private. So you would have to put a request in, or vice versa, for somebody to see your profile if you are 17 and younger. Do you think that is something that shouldn't be implemented? Because it was actually drawn from parents that are coming forward saying, we've got to do something. We have to put something on this. It's getting out of control at this point. We've got kids committing suicide. We've got this, we got that. So they decided, we need to limit this for children.
Well, I used to work for MySpace, if you guys have, so that's very dated. Ooh, that's a social media
where everybody used to rate their friends?
Yes. But this is like back when Tom originally owned it. And I'm just weary of that because, well, at least when I was working there, it's the kind of thing that didn't work because people can lie.
Yes.
Yeah. And there's no mechanism yet to like, let's prove to me that you're, 17 or 13. People lie. I wouldn't trust like putting all my eggs in the basket of a company, because at the end of the day, they want to make money. They don't have your best interest at heart.
That's right.
So I think it's more of a tool for parents. Parents monitoring what their children are doing, and then they have to actually have the same consideration for themselves, because you yourself as a parent can be someone that doesn't have peace, and your kid sees that or sees a double standard in a sense. I know it's a different consideration for kids, but I can't be scrolling on my phone all day and then expect my kid to not see that as an example. I haven't seen that as far as limiting, like making that profile private, totally work, nor have I seen like where a company institutes something, because I never trust that a company has my personal best interest at heart.
Oh, I agree with that 100%. And I also agree, freedom of speech. Unless it's, the old saying, you don't run into a theater and yell fire, that type of thing. But I think it comes down to the responsibility of the individuals. Responsibility of parenting, yes, number one. But also as an adult, if you're doing something that's harmful, to you and you have no peace,
Yeah.
you have control. You have control. You can set boundaries for yourself. Not saying it's going to be easy. It's like smoking for 20 years
Yeah.
and then you decide to stop.
Yeah.
The only person that can do that is you.
Yeah.
You can have warnings. You can have commercials on TV. But unless you want to quit, it's not going to happen.
Yeah. You have to make a decision.
You have to make a decision. And I, for one, I think it's a personal responsibility.
Yeah.
And if you are depressed or whatever, and you go to these hotlines, that's one of the first things they should be telling you.
And that's, you hit something. I think that's what's tricky. Because you said you're doing something harmful to you, right? I think that's what's tricky about this space is because drinking too much alcohol, eating too much, all of those, doing drugs, like all of those things are like obviously bad for you. But I don't think that people necessarily see the harm. It's almost like it's really tricky and insidious. Spending too much time on social media or the way you behave on social media, it's just, it doesn't, it's veiled. You don't see like how bad it can be
Right.
for you. So it can be an addiction. It's harder to curb. I have someone that I work with who's very, very smart, but was trying to, was finding that they didn't have time for anything or for most things or things that they wanted to do. And it took a while to go, oh, it's because I'm like spending all my free time scrolling.
Yeah.
And then even that, like, oh, I'm not going to scroll. It wasn't easy to break. It wasn't just like I won't
Yeah.
do that. There was an addiction there.
Yeah.
And so they had to look for tools, get an accountability, almost treating it the same way as someone who's trying to get rid of a really bad habit.
Yeah.
Like a obviously harmful
Yeah.
habit,
It is
like
a habit.
drinking too much or something like that. I'm not saying alcohol, but even drinking too much is not
Yeah.
great. But you've gotten used to it, and then you have to like sort of create this box
Right.
and tools, and then have someone in accountability
Yeah.
to help you stop. It was like the same way, but it was just like something that wasn't
Absolutely.
obvious.
Absolutely. I had to delete everything.
Oh, you just deleted it.
I had to because I would do that. I'd just be sitting there and be scrolling. And I've got ADD, so I would just get lost. I would just, and Keith would be like, Jess, and I'd be like, what? Where am I? How long have we been here for? And I just wouldn't pay attention to it. And I would be fine, and then I would see something, and I'd literally be like, that's disgusting. Why is that even on my news feed? You know what I mean? But I couldn't stop doing it. So I was like, you know what? I'm done with this. I'm deleting it, deactivating it. Boom, it's off. So because I couldn't monitor it, and with the amount of stuff that just randomly gets thrown in there, that to me, I mean, I don't want to say, yeah, like inappropriate. Like I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that. And
Yeah.
it wasn't worth it to keep it because of that.
Well, it's just like, we've been talking about it. It's an addiction. Well, I was on Facebook when it first came out and everything, weren't we all? And during COVID, it was just too nasty for me. Everything
it was
yeah.
toxic,
I was
yeah.
like, so I just shut it off like I would shut the TV off.
Right.
Now I'm back on. I just got back on, I don't know, a week or so ago, but there's someone on there that I want to listen to.
Yeah.
And that's the only way I can listen to her
Mm-hmm.
is on Facebook. So
Yeah.
I'm back on. But I'm very, I monitor.
Yeah.
Like I might get, scroll quickly
Yeah.
because I've got notifications now. Facebook is now.
Yeah.
This one's on, that one's on. But you're talking very limited.
Yeah.
Because I said to myself, I'm going back on. I am not getting into this routine
Yeah.
of looking at everybody's
Yeah.
comments.
I got a question for you. So, out of this group, obviously, you've had more time without the idea of social media and all of that. Do you think that because of that, isn't it easier for you to limit yourself on social media because you've had spent more of your life without it?
I believe so. I think it is. I think it's like anything else. if it's something that when it came into effect, you jumped on, yada, yada, you know, and you get more and more and more into it, like you, Jess, and then all of a sudden you realize, whoa,
Yeah.
wait a minute, what's happening to my life?
And that's why I won't reactivate my accounts. That's why I won't download it. And even someone said to me a while ago, somebody that I worked with, they were like, Jess, you don't have to delete your account. You can still have your account. And I was like, no, I said I can't, because I got to be honest with you guys. I don't trust myself.
Yeah.
with it.
Know yourself.
I know myself. I know that I struggle when it comes to, because it's very hard for me to focus on one thing.
Yes.
The way that I'm built. And when I have that, I can focus on one thing. So it's very relaxing to me at the same time, because I can shut everything else off and I can focus on that one thing. So that's why it's very difficult for me. It's like the same thing with video games. I have to be super careful with video games. I just started playing video games again for the first time in probably like more than a year. Yeah. Because I was like, I got to walk away from this, because it was so unhealthy, because I found it so relaxing that I could shut everything off. But I was sitting downstairs and Keith was watching his TV and I was playing video games on mine. And I was like, I got to stop. And I was saying it out loud. I was like, I need to stop. I need to stop playing this. I need to walk away. Enough is enough. I've been on it for an hour. It's time to put it down and walk away. And I kept playing for like 20 minutes. I was like, Jessica, and I shut it off and I walked away. So that was cool for me, putting that boundary. But I don't think I could do it with social media.
Yeah. And so you know your boundaries.
Yeah.
You know your boundaries. It's like somebody who's, you know, an alcoholic. You
Yeah.
don't take them to a bar.
Yeah. It's like your phone. Your phone's basically like going to the bar. You know what I mean? It's in your hand. You have it on you at all times. It's always in your pocket. It's always in your purse. It's always on the table in front of you.
Most people.
Yeah, but you know what I'm
I
saying?
leave mine everywhere.
Right.
I left it in the freezer the other day
I remember that.
at church. I'm like, where's
Yeah.
Oh, all of a sudden, it's like, you know, where's
Yeah.
my phone? Somebody call my phone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
How we figured out it was in the freezer is another story.
Oh.
But yeah, I would love to hear from you guys,
Yes.
our listeners, your own experiences with social media and mental health and your coping strategies. How do you keep your sanity and your peace? What kind of tools do you use to detox from social media or to just keep that in curb? Because it's time. It's time that you can't get back. So we'd love to also hear from you how you think that social media will evolve
Absolutely.
and impact future generations. You're welcome to comment. We're on, you were on Spotify or YouTube. You're listening to one of those. And we also have an email called podcast3generations@gmail.com. So please engage with us. We'd love to hear it. Maybe we'll talk about this again, but join us again for next time for more fun. Again, it's from Jess, Julia, and Marie. Thanks for listening to 3 Generations, and we'll see you next time.